Right, we're going to look at another paper here. This is paper 2. It's another massive A star. You need about 63 out of 80 to get an A star, so 68 out of 80 is way over the grade boundary. We can see here 4 marks on questions 5, 6, 7, which is very possible for anybody because simply it's a calculation question, a data question, and just drawing a diagram and explaining it. And then that led 15 out of 15, smashed on a 20 out of 25, so 35 out of 40, set up beautifully for section B, where they scored 13 out of 15 and 20 out of 25. Let's take a look at this paper. So unfortunately I wasn't able to get the first few pages back from the exam board, but I can get to start this video from halfway through the 25 marker, and we can see here that down the left hand side we've got analysis, 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 evaluation. We can see a diagram's been done. It's not actually correct. I'm surprised this didn't get caught because it says Q in the real national output level rather than Y. But anyway, everything else seems fine, and we'll move on to the next page. So we're seeing the other side of the argument now. So on the other hand, sustained low interest rates may be beneficial for the UK economy, and then it's gone into the analysis part explaining why that possibly is a good thing to have sustained. That was clearly the dodgy word in the question. Sustained low interest rates. We've got analysis, evaluation, evaluation, evaluation. Absolutely lovely stuff. And then we're moving into the conclusion. You can see straight away, you know what the question is without even having the question, because it says, overall, although low interest rates can lead to sustained growth, there may be damage to the economy through excessive debt and possible liquidity traps in the future. So you knew the question was basically evaluate whether sustained low interest rates are beneficial to an economy. So going through this conclusion, this is a really good conclusion because it actually will move on to page 5. So overall, although low interest rates can lead to sustained growth, there may be damage to the economy through excessive debt, because it's cheap to take on those loans, and possible liquidity traps in the future. However, in the short term, this low interest rates should be maintained due to Brexit uncertainty causing low confidence in the economy. However, in the long term, low interest rates should not be sustained at such a low level. And then straight after that, it's gone into more of the support for that side of the argument with the furthermores. They've clearly been added after, but you can do that. So furthermore, economic growth also heavily depends upon confidence. Furthermore, the possible damage to banks could be negated by the extensive regulations such as, and they've just added a financial markets point about the PRA, FCA and FPC, and used the extract F, so application, to support that, and then more, this does depend on some more evaluation thereafter. So it's not quite level 5, but it's a top level 4, and if you deal with the first questions as this person did, where they got 2, 4 and 9, then they've scored 35 out of 40. That sets you up beautifully moving into section B. Remember, you're looking at about 31.5 to get an A star out of 40. So moving on to section B, about fiscal policy was the question that was taken on. This is the 15 marker, and throughout the examiner has clearly just showed how much knowledge and how much analysis has been used in this answer. And we're going to see the diagram, which is always needed, on the other page. Okay, so we can see the diagram here. LRS, just a simple shift. It's been acknowledged with application because the diagram classes as application. But remember, 15 markers, triple DA, define, diagram, depth of analysis, so explain it in full, and then make sure you put some application in, and that will score you highly. Here it says good knowledge and understanding with relevant application and well-focused logical chains of analysis, mid-level 3. Mid-level 3 is all you need to get to these A stars. Then moving on to the 25 marker here, as always a plan's been made, desirable, not desirable. We're very clear, signposted to the examiner. Examiner should have put seen here but didn't, but nevertheless it's good for you because it sets out how you're going to answer your question in terms of what the bulk, the middle of it's going to be, and also because you've done your points on either side, you can work out which side of the argument you're going to go for in your conclusion, and even better, you can signpost it in that very first paragraph you make. Make it easy for the examiner. Don't make it hard for them. So the question here is it a good thing to have a budget surplus? And in the first paragraph, it's been answered. It says, well, it might be a good thing, but it greatly depends on the cause of that surplus, and that's unknown. And that shows straight away to the examiner where this essay is going to go. And then we've moved on to the bulk, the middle of the essay, where we've gone through why a budget surplus may be desirable, and then of course why a budget surplus may not be desirable. You can see down the left hand side, analysis, 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 and then ending up with evaluation. We move on to the next page. So we've got further chains of analysis here, looking down the left hand side, evaluation, analysis, analysis. Got a lovely little Laffer curve there with tax revenue, tax rate. You can always use that to evaluate off of, and then moved on to the other side. So one reason against a budget surplus is that, and then it just goes through and explains it, and we'll move on to the last page of this essay. The final page, the first start of it, we can see we've gone through the why a budget surplus may not be desirable. So it's a brilliant essay in terms of the middle part, but perhaps it's not quite level 5 as it can be seen from the examiner's marks, because simply the conclusion is too short. But it is still a 20 out of 25, let's keep this in context. But if we look at the conclusion, it answers the question, but it could potentially go into a little bit more depth. As a rule of thumb, when you're going to these conclusions and you're thinking about getting a 25 out of 25, you're really, with this handwriting size, you'd be expecting about half an A4 page for that conclusion. So it needs a bit more depth. In terms of that, it could have given another example, or it could have explained what it actually meant by a country in question or the state of the economy. Perhaps needs a little bit more detail to it. Anyway, you've seen an A-star paper here. You can do this. You can really do this.